Dear learner, in this tutorial we are going to learn content types and formats. As you know, content types and formats are very important for library content management system. Formats are very important to take decisions for long time preservation, to select format for long time preservation of digital assets, etc. Now, content format or data format is what it is actually. So, content format or data format is the description of encoding intellectual content of a digital byte stream to form a digital object. In digital content management system, format description is a very important technical metadata. It describes and guides how a software would manage, interpret and deliver contents of a digital file, and digital files are also called bitstream. So content format are actually determining not only long-term preservation, but it is also a very critical factor at the time of interpretation, dissemination and delivery of digital asset. So why we need to know about content format? As a library professional, you may say that we are actually archiving as it is basis, as it is coming. So do not do that until and unless you are archiving a standard format which is enlisted in a global registry of format. That's a very risky business to include any of the formatted documents inside your content management system. So the purpose of content format, to know what is content format, the basic purpose you need to know, the basic purpose of a content management system is to find and deliver digital object for users. Now, users of such systems are interested to get the intellectual content encoded in those digital objects. Therefore, it's a very important job of a content manager to provide contents in a dissemination format and naming it accurately so that that can readily be interpreted by the common desktop applications. So, if your format is something which is not supporting the desktop applications available in the end user level, so that format has no meaning actually. So that is a very important task. Apart from this, most of the digital content management system use established content formats and format types to support end user retrieval and to ensure long term preservation of digital contents. So you need to know what are the established content formats and how can you check whether that particular format type is listed any of the global repository or not. Now, components of content formats are basically of three types actually. So typically the description of a content format includes unique descriptive name, that is its HTML format, PDF format, doc format. Then you have to give a format identifier. So format identifier you can have from the globally unique and persistent identifier, may be available from global registry like pronom. I will be coming on pronom. Then another one is the application oriented identifier such as MIME type content format information. For example, you are providing content type is equal to text /HTML. That means that particular document is available in HTML format, but the content is predominantly text in nature, textual in nature. So these two things you need to maintain, that you need to give one unique descriptive name. Then you need to check whether that particular format is supported in a global format registry. Then you have to determine the MIME type, that is what is the format and what is the intellectual content inside that particular format. For example, image by JPG, image by GIF, text by HTML and so on. Now, definition of the format, encoding and documentation showing how to interpret that particular format is important, and those are mostly available with the global repository. Then relation with the other format is also very important. For example, HTML supporting ASCII or Unicode character set are not the same. So when you are giving an HTML available only in ASCII format and an HTML available in Unicode format, so that you need to even within the Unicode what particular standard like UTF-8 or UTF-16 or UTF-32 is followed, that you have to mention during your format description. So you see the importance of content format, not only the selection of the format, but also you need to know how to encode those formats into available metadata element field, for example dc.format. Now relationship to other formats as subtypes, as families, etc. is important. Reference to application code that generates or interprets that particular format is important. Classification descriptive metadata about the nature of the intellectual content or encoding is also very important in managing content type for digital assets. Now, as I mentioned many times that you need to check the formats you are supporting inside your library content management system, that you need to check whether it is globally supported or not, or whether any global repository, format repository included or listed that particular format or not. So, this is one of the important conditions of the library content management, that the content format must have unique and persistent identifier, and it must be available in the global repository. So, pronom, as I also mentioned earlier, is the first and so far the only operational public live format registry in the world. It is a project of the National Archives of the United Kingdom. But pronom is not the only one. There are many other global format registry system, but pronom is the most popular one and it is the most reliable one. So, you better use pronom. Pronom gives every format a PUID, pronom persistent unique identifier, so that in the long run that particular format can be uniquely identified. So, PUID again supports exchange and management of digital objects. It ensures human or automated user agent to unambiguously identify and share that identification with other system. And third, it provides representation information required to support access to an object. So, PUID, if a particular format you are supporting inside your library content management system, if it has got a PUID in the pronom, that you are actually assured that this will be in future will be supported by many desktop applications, and it will be shared by the intelligent search agent or the human unambiguously, and it will always provide a descriptive metadata related with that particular format. Now, apart from pronom, there are many other global format registry system. One is the JOVE, JHOVE. It's a product of the Harvard University that supports automatic identification, validation, and characterization of a range of digital object types. Now, second one is the digital formats for Library of Congress collection. You know the importance of Library of Congress in our domain. It is actually acting as a lead library for developing different kind of standard. So, Library of Congress always maintains a list of format they are supporting. So, you better consult that particular list available from the Library of Congress website. Apart from these two, another big project is developed by University of Queensland. So, that is called PANIC, and it also support global registry of different kind of formats. Particularly, it is covering the specialty of this service is that it is actually trying to cover the upcoming area called Semantic Web or Semantic Web services. So, this is the screen snapshot of pronom. So, you can search by any of the format like text. So, it can display all the text related format available in the pronom registry, and you can identify the MIME type. You can follow that particular MIME type in describing your content format inside your library content management system. Now, what is the purpose of content format? So, content format has got many purposes. One of the most important thing is dissemination. Content dissemination is nothing but dissemination a bit stream through a web-based user interface. Such a process needs a MIME type for format or technical metadata related to that particular MIME type. If MIME types are poorly standardized and there are several valid identifier for the same format, then content dissemination cannot take place effectively at user terminal. Therefore, content management system that you are following in your library should provide correct MIME type to patrons browser for proper dissemination. Other, if you are providing a wrong MIME type for a given file, then that may not be opening in your patron browser. Then next, after dissemination, the next major purpose of content formats is search and retrieval. So, recording of the actual bitstream format in the metadata element dc.type may support end user searching to filter documents by MIME type. Say for example, when you are searching Google image, you need to check that this is the caption, this is the keyword, and then you click Google image. So if that image does not contain the proper MIME type, then it is not possible for a retrieval engine to display the image properly. So when you are entering different kind of MIME type in dc.type metadata element, you have to be very careful, because it may hamper search at the end user level. Now, third important factor in representing content format is the locating application. Content management system uses format metadata to locate desktop application relevant to open a bitstream. So that means depending on your format support, depending on your MIME information, MIME level information, the desktop client application of a user can be knowing that this particular format will be opened through this particular software. If that particular information is wrong, if you are giving it wrongly, so at the browser interface or at the end user interface, that will not be opening by using the appropriate software. So locating application is another big thing in case of content formatting. Apart from these three things, dissemination, search and retrieval, and locating, content format is very important for long-term preservation. Standard content formats are critical for long-term preservation of digital objects. And next one is the validation. Proper validation is required to check whether a bitstream conforms to its identified format or not. If a particular format has distinct version, the particular version, e.g., for example, PDF 1.7 or PDF 1.8 must be identified for the validation purpose. So in case of MIME type information or content level information provision, we need to sometimes include the provisions, the format, the versions also. For example, this is developed by using PDF 1.7 standard. This is developed by using PDF 1.8 standard. So that proper validation is required before inclusion of that particular digital asset inside your library content management system. Then other purposes are obsolete format detection. You see the rate of obsolescence is very high in case of computer technology. So today what is available, tomorrow that may not be available. So some of you may be remembering the history of WordStar file. So previously, before availability of the MS Word, there was a word processing software WordStar. So that particular software, that particular format, that is called WordStar format, .ws format, is not available anymore. So if a library has a huge collection in .ws format, they need to transfer that format from one present format like doc, docx, or ODT, etc. So this obsolete format detection is very important. If you are not providing proper content format level information, then that particular document may not be upgraded to the next available format. Then migration also requires proper content formatting or proper content identification and standardization for migrating one digital asset from one system to another system. So sometimes you see these are the what is the content management, why we need to know this particular content formatting, and what are the purposes of knowing different kind of content format we have so far covered. Now we are discussing the differences between the binary file versus text file. In most of the file time you have learned that this particular file is a text file, it's a binary file, etc. So what is the difference? You already know that all electronic documents consist of a combination of text and images. Such files may also contain audio and video object, but all image, audio, video, text, all such components of an electronic document consist of only bytes, 8 bits from 1 byte. So bit stands for binary digit. So in fact, all computer files are binary files, but sometimes depending on the content type of that particular binary file, we call it, sometimes it's a text file, it's an image file, it's an audio file, it's a video file, and so on. Another important thing related to text encoding you must be knowing, that is the ASCII, ISCII, and Unicode. So normally most of the personal computer like desktop and laptop, before entering the Unicode standard, most were dominated by the ASCII standard. Government of India developed a standard called ISCI in the line of ASCII, which is stand for Indian Standard Code for Information Interchange. So both ASCII and ISCI are 1 byte oriented code. Maximum they can represent 256 number of characters, but ISCI is a kind of extended ASCII. So first 128 number of characters is reserved for the English language in Roman script, and the next 128 number of characters actually given to any one of the Indian language. So ISCI is a bilingual code, ASCII is a monolingual code, and Unicode that present for content text encoding standard we are supporting, that's a multilingual code. It's a 2 byte code. It can represent a maximum of 65,536 number of characters, and it's truly multilingual. Nowadays most of the operating system, most of the database management system, most of the programming environment are supporting Unicode as a text encoding standard. So that you need to know in relation with the text files or many other files. Now, as I told you that you can search presence of any format type in pronom. Now you have already seen that what is the pronom user interface. There if I search by the text, so pronom can list following text category, format and MIME types it can give, and that we may follow. So you can easily check whether a particular text file is text type or text file type, content format type is available in pronom or not. So you can search by content type like text, image, etc., or you can search by the file type like GIF, JPG, TXT, etc. Now a digital asset management is not only about textual data. Sometimes it includes images, sometimes it includes audio files, video files, etc. So image formats are next important thing after text format. Essentially most of the objects are textual, but next comes the image. So images are very important part of content management, possibly just after the textual object. A scanned image is basically nothing but a grid of dots or picture elements called pixel. Each pixel is assigned a position and a tonal value. The tonal value means whether it's a black, white, gray or color. Now these values are represented in binary digits or in bits. These bits are often expressed in mathematical representation to decrease the file size. Now the bits are then interpreted and read by the computer to produce an analog version of the display for printing. The digital image obtained in this manner is called a bitmap image. The quality of the bitmap depends on its resolution. Resolution, on the other hand, depends on sampling frequency, that is frequency at which a digital image is sampled. Then dots per inch or DPI or pixel per inch PPI are used to express the resolution of a digital image. So these are some of the basic information related with the image format. Now size of the bitmap image is expressed in pixel dimension. It is determined by multiplying the width and the height of an image respectively by the DPI. For example, suppose pixel dimension of 5 inch into 4 inch bitmap image scanned at 300 DPI may be represented at 5 into 300 and plus 4 into 300, that is equal to 1500 pixel by the 1200 pixel. So in this way we actually represent the size of a bitmap image. The color encoding of a bitmap image is represented through encoding the color value of each pixel by a group of bits. Bitonal bitmap image usually have 1 bit is equal to 2 tones. Grayscale image usually have 2 to 8 bits or more, that is 4 to 256 tones, and color images usually involve 8 to 24 bits or equivalent to 256 to 16.17 million tones. Generally, scanned images are served in TIFF format. So TIFF is the mother format after the scanning. But most of the digital archive do not use TIFF. They transform TIFF file into many other format because of the size constraint like GIF, JPG, PNG, etc. So this particular file format like GIF, JPG and PNG has reduced file size. So most of the digital archives are using GIF, JPG and PNG in place of TIFF, although TIFF is considered as the mother format after scanning a particular image. Now image compression may take place in two ways, that is, one is called the lossless compression, another is called the lossy compression. So in case of lossless compression, it basically decompress. It is a bit for bit identical to the original. And the loosey, it is basically, it's a technique very suitable for the bitonal image of textual objects, and the second one is for basically suitable for the tonal image. Now major image formats includes GIF. GIF stands for graphics interchange format. Most of the web services are using GIF. Next important characteristics of GIFs is that it can be white, grayscale and color image, and compression may take place through a technique called LZAW. And GIF is mainly GIF file size is normally less in comparison with the TIFF. Next popular image in the web is JPEG or JPG. So JPG stands for Joint Photographic Expert Group. So this particular file format is also web compatible, and most of the web services are using it. Now JPG can reduce a photographic image to 2 to 3 times smaller in comparison with GIF format. That means file size is smaller in comparison with GIF format and TIFF format. And JPG is based on loosey compression, and it's not an ideal format for archiving purpose. So a particular image you want to archive for long-term preservation, JPG is not an ideal format for that. Either you use TIFF format or GIF format. Now another one is the PNG format, Portable Network Graphics. It's an open standard developed by W3C. PNG format has many advantages over GIF format, such as supports for 48-bit true color. It's web friendly in nature, variable transparency, cross-platform support, etc. Makes PNG a better candidate in comparison with GIF. So TIFF or tagged image file format is established standard for long-term preservation of image. It's called the mother format in case of digital archiving management. So if you go by the W3 recommendation for image format, this is the list of image format recommended by World Wide Web Consortium, and the MIME time is also given, and you can use this MIME time in describing a image inside Dublin Core metadata. Now after image, the most important file format we need to handle is the audio file format. Audio file format can be of 3 types: uncompressed audio file format, lossless compression audio file format, and loosey compression audio file format. If we go by uncompressed file format, PCM is possibly the oldest uncompressed audio file format. It stores audio file as .wav format on Windows or as AIFF format on Mac. These formats are flexible and supports storing and archiving of the original recording. It produces CD quality sound files in 16-bit, but it takes 10 MB size per minute of audio recording. So it's a almost uncompressed one. Now the second one, that is the creation of audio files in lossless compressed file format. 2 formats are available. One is the FLAC, another is the ALAC, ALAC. So both are CD quality file, but it takes roughly 5 MB space per minute of audio recording. Now in web environment, these are not suitable because of the data transmission overhead. So we use loosey compression audio file formats. The most popular is MP3. These are MPEG 1 audio layer 3, and other loosey formats are AAC, WMA, etc. And it roughly takes 1 MB size or space per minutes of recording. So these are the W3C recommendations for different kind of audio files. So thank you very much. This is all about the content file format.